you present here, students, staff members, former member of the board, Mrs. Maria Jones. We are going to begin this morning's session with the playing of the national anthem. Can I ask for all of us to take the appropriate stance, please? Thank you. Please be seated. Our anthem is one of those emblems that joins us together as a community. And I'm sure all of us are very proud when our athletes, particularly on the national stage, stand up and we hear this familiar anthem being played. And remind ourselves as well, it's an anthem that is actually a prayer. And last time I inquired, I understand there's no other similar to ours. So we are centered around being spiritual people, people of faith. Well, if you look at your program this morning, you won't see me there. And so you might wonder, what am I doing on the stage at this point? Well, I must first of all indicate to you that I'm here representing our president, Dr. Osborne Pinnock, who is unavoidably absent. His family has experienced a loss. His mother-in-law passed over, I think it was on Sunday. And as such, you would understand he is providing support to his wife and children at this time. So, hence, yours truly being here. Members of the management and academic board, other colleagues and staff, students, partners, and members of the wider family of Miconians, on behalf of the President, I say again, good morning. My presentation this morning would usually be delivered, as I said, by our President, if only to signal Mico's high regard for research and knowledge. However, as indicated, he is unable to join us this morning and is instead supporting his family and loved ones. This morning, I am pleased to join you and to deliver this message during our institution's research spotlight. It is, of course, a central feature at the Mico of Mico Week 2026 and should not be regarded as simply a program item within our celebratory week. No, it is more importantly an intellectual marker, an indication of who we are becoming as an institution and how we intend to participate in the acquisition of knowledge that can shape national, and regional futures. Ladies and gentlemen, research is not peripheral to the Mico's identity. At the Mico University College, it is foundational to our evolution and helps to maintain our relevance in every age. Now, this matters because as one of the region's best tertiary institutions, we are unapologetic about that, our university college must situate research as more than an activity. We situate it as an epistemology, as the ideal way of knowing, of acquiring knowledge for the society's benefit. Research is how the educated mind should interrogate reality to produce meaning. So when we are at our best as a university, we are not merely transmitters of established knowledge. We have a duty to examine knowledge itself, to contest it, to refine it when we can, and to reimagine where necessary. These are highly important societal functions, and our institution was the first to train teachers tasked with the dissemination of knowledge across our nation. Miconians and friends, please appreciate how important it is for us to have the capacity to process knowledge for ourselves. But both before, and during its dissemination across our nation. This is even particularly important within the Caribbean context. Our region has existed at the periphery of global knowledge production for way too long. We have been consuming frameworks, theories, and interpretations that were not designed with our realities in mind. Therefore, the task before our institution and all of us is not simply to participate in research, but to contribute to the rebalancing of knowledge itself. The Mico will help to ensure that Caribbean experiences, insights, and intellectual traditions are not marginal, but are instead central to the conversations that educate and shape society. Today, we are locating our institutional journey within a broader intellectual responsibility, but it has always been our legacy. The legacy of the Mico is grounded in practice, preparing teachers who would go into the classrooms and transform lives. That legacy remains intact. However, the contemporary moment demands something more. It requires that we are more aggressively moved beyond the delivery of knowledge to the production of knowledge, beyond the classroom to the wider architecture of national development. And it's not a departure from our legacy. It is its logical extension. So it is here that the role of our Institute of Technology and Education Research becomes critical. ITA. ITA is increasingly becoming an essential part of our intellectual infrastructure. It provides the framework through which our research is conceptualized, supported, coordinated, and disseminated. In many respects, it represents the institutionalization of inquiry and a shift from individual scholarly efforts to a structured, strategic, and sustained research culture. Through ITA, we can organize and prioritize research and also align it with the national needs. So for example, the recent collaboration with Jamaicans for Justice demonstrated how academic research can engage directly with questions of justice, equity, and governance. Our researchers brought empirical rigor to issues that are often discussed in purely theoretical terms, like police violence, trust, the proverbial systems of justice. So for us, research must not exist in isolation from lived realities. It must speak to life's most pressing challenges. Importantly, while our research activity is growing, we are also expanding our body of publications and have even established the Mico publishers. And I think you should give yourselves applause for that. We are an institution that is growing increasingly more confident in our scholarly voice. The Mico Journal of Education is now volume 10, signaling both continuity and maturation. Its focus on STEM and STEAM in Jamaican classrooms engages directly with national education priorities and offers insights that have practical implications for teaching, learning, and policy development today. You're looking behind me. You see the publication of Marcus Garvey, Pedagogy and the Power of Education, brings our published works to the realm of intellectual history and cultural analysis. Through it, we invited the nation to reconsider the philosophical foundation of education within a Caribbean context by drawing on the thoughts of one of our most influential national figures to interrogate the relationship between education, or I should say among education, identity, and empowerment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when all I've said is taken together, our efforts point to an important shift from an institution that participates in education to one that actively shapes the discourse around it. But this shift also requires a particular kind of intellectual discipline, you know. If he calls again. Pardon me, that was the secretary of the foundation, so if he calls again, just speak to him for me. Research must be rigorous. If it is to be meaningful, it must be methodologically sound, theoretically informed, and critically engaged. At the same time, it must remain accessible and relevant, capable of informing practice, guiding policy, and improving outcomes today. This balance between rigor and relevance is not easily achieved. It requires intentionality, support, and a culture that values inquiry. And we are building those elements. That is why we have taken on new initiatives like the Innovation with and for a Purpose Summit that we will host with our partners from the University of Miami this May. Initiatives like the IP Summit will intentionally connect the latest innovations with policymakers, investors, and consumers, but it will also encourage inquiry and add national voices to a global conversation about the latest innovations and how they should be applied here in Jamaica and the region. Well, this is an appropriate time for a brief reflection, if you allow me. There's a tendency to underestimate the power of ideas, particularly in small states like Jamaica. We often see research as abstract, distant, or even indulgent, a waste of time. Yet history suggests otherwise. Every significant transformation has been preceded by a shift in thinking, whether it be in education, governance, or in social organization. Now, if our thoughts and our ideas can shape our institution, then our institution can shape society. And if there is truth in that, then the work we do here, within our lecture theaters, in our journals, and even in our research collaborations, are not secondary, they are foundational. Our pursuit of research is, in fact, an exercise in nation building. Thankfully, our legacy provides us with the credibility If there's anything anywhere more credible than Mico, I don't know. So our legacy provides us with the credibility and purpose. Our research provides us with tools and insight. Our impact is measured in the extent to which we are able to translate both into meaningful change within society. This is the trajectory we are now deliberately pursuing. We're seeking to expand our reach and recognition, one of our strategic pillars. Strengthen academic excellence, another one of our strategic pillars. And deepen our contribution to national development. Research sits at the center of all three. It enhances our academic profile, increases our visibility, and positions us as a thought leader within the education sector and beyond. Today's program reflects that positioning. The Research Spotlight provides a platform for scholarly engagement, an opportunity for our faculty and researchers to present work that is both intellectually grounded and socially relevant. The luminary session this afternoon, which I expect all of us to be at, will allow us to engage at a deeper level of analysis and reflection. We are particularly pleased to feature our own Professor Clinton Hutton, because his scholarship continues to challenge and expand our understanding of culture, power, and identity. In bringing these elements together, we are aiming to cultivate a research culture. So, colleagues, the task before us is clear. If the Mico is to fully realize its potential as a university college in the 21st century, then research must remain central to our mission. It must be supported institutionally, pursued rigorously, and communicated effectively. More importantly, it must be purposeful. It must speak to the realities of our classrooms, the needs of our communities, and aspirations of our nation. It must challenge assumptions, generate new knowledge, and inform the decisions that shape our collective future. This is how legacy is sustained, not through repetition, but through renewal. This is how institutions remain relevant, not by preserving what was, but by contributing to what must be. I commend the work of ITA, our faculty, our researchers, and our partners who continue to advance this noble agenda with seriousness and commitment. So as we proceed through today's sessions, I encourage us not simply to observe, but to engage, to question, to interrogate, and to connect ideas to action, because it is in that engagement that research fulfills its highest purpose. On behalf of the President, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benjamin. So let me say again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all our special guests. Everybody here is special today. On behalf of the ITA team, let us welcome you to our Research Spotlight. I want you to take what Dr. Benjamin said very seriously, because this has been a steady, slow in some instances, attempt by the University College to institutionalize research. And I'm happy to say that there is some traction taking place, and you will see the evidence of that today. This series that we have come up with, it celebrates the scholarship of our colleagues. It celebrates their research, their publications, their contributions to public discourse in the formats that they most value. So we are not only going after the traditional hard-hitting, theory-spouting type research, but we're talking about solving everyday issues as well. We're talking about solving everyday classroom issues as well, and participating in national conversation. There was a feature on Nationwide, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, where the journalists were complaining that there is nobody who is willing to have an intellectual voice. And we want to celebrate the people here at the Mico who've been engaging in discourse at all levels. So we are encouraged by the growing number of faculty who engage and share their work with the wider community. Emphasis on share their work. Many people are doing things, but the community needs to grow together. So we encourage people who are active but not yet sharing to consider us as your partners and help us to grow together. In doing so, our colleagues extend the reach of the Mico beyond its walls and strengthen the educational product for all Jamaicans. This year, we have again extended the categories of recognition and refined some of the criteria, reflecting the steady maturation of our research environment. These awards are not only a celebration of achievement, but also a formal acknowledgement of the value of your scholarship to the institution and to the nation. By making work visible, you help us to learn from one another. You help us to inspire other colleagues to come on board, and it highlights the collective impact of our scholarship. Our capacity, as Dr. Benson mentioned, to support research has grown. The Institute is producing new journals. We have a brand new journal coming up in April, which is focused on special education. We do have the Mico Care here, and we will be putting out a new journal focused on special education. First edition is coming out April-May 2026. So the opportunities are here. Together, let us continue to build a strong culture of scholarship and ensure that the breadth of our collective achievements is recognized. And, you know, I am very happy today to specially acknowledge some key partners in this journey. We want to acknowledge Mrs. Maria Jones. She is a former member of the Board of Directors and also the wife of the founding director of ITA. So a deep interest in what we do, and we thank her for her support over the years. So please give her a round. We want to acknowledge Dr. Albert Benjamin, VP Academic Affairs, whose portfolio intersects with ours. We're not different, we're not apart, we're part of the same body of intellectual tradition. So having Dr. Benjamin as part of our team is signaling big things for the Mico. We want to acknowledge Mrs. Verona Dawkins, Director of Human Resources, who is standing over there. So through Mrs. Dawkins' office, we piloted our research track. And so this is all gelling together. You're seeing how the community is coming together. And of course, we can't leave out all the people who have contributed over the past year, from April last year to April this year. Together, we will make big things happen. And I'm happy that so many people are joining in on the dream. So enough of the speech. We're going to move on to the certificates. But I must also say in advance that this week a number of people are doing practicum supervision, some in places that they cannot avoid. They have to be there because it's a very short window. So some persons might not be here, but we're celebrating them anyway. We also have some external persons who assisted us with the journal, and our contributors, and they too may not be here, but we are celebrating them anyway. So we're going to ask, in the absence, if we notice that a colleague is absent, Mr. Franklin Bennett will accept on their behalf. All right? So the first category are our certificate recipients for their engagement in the past year. And we're going to ask Mrs. Verona Dawkins to assist us with that. The first category is actually public discourse. Public discourse through newspapers and blogs. That was a category that we came up with maybe, was it last year? It might have been the year before, because we noticed that this was an avenue that many of our colleagues engage with. And our first awardee is Mrs. Tadine Williams Winter. So Mrs. Williams Winter Williams, your husband would not be very happy with me marrying you to your father. Letter to the editor, teachers, let's take a break, we deserve it. And Rise, a literary work. So we encourage all forms and we celebrate with you. The second recipient in this category is Mr. Leroy Ferron Jr. Now, I would have to spend a long time if I am going to try to count the number of this is the category of newspaper articles produced by this prolific young man. Mr. Ferron currently serves as the Dean of the Faculty of Education, and he has an unwavering interest in providing a voice on education and general social issues with a staggering momentum. Boy, you know, second place behind him will probably be 3 articles for the newspaper. So I encourage somebody to come second with 3 articles. If we can get to 3. So congratulations. All right, so we're going to recognize the publication of a journal article which is outside of the sphere of the Mico. This is not through the Mico Journal. This is the Journal of Advances in Applied and Computational Mathematics. Very technical sounding. And it is written by Dennis Xavier, and we're going to ask, if Santi isn't here, Dean Baker Gibson to accept. So the title is, for those of you who can understand mathematical concepts, Double Parametric Based Solutions of Fuzzy Volterra Integral Equations in Separate Type Kernels. High science. Very fuzzy. All right. So we're going to move on to the presentations for staff members who presented at 1 to 2 conferences or seminars, and these are members of the research track. So the first up is Mrs. Cordell Francis Ferguson. And so they worked in partnership. So I'll tell you what they did after. And Mr. Donald Burrell. I'm not sure Mr. Burrell is here. Dean, Mr. Burrell isn't here. So they presented at the Ministry of Education Regional 3 Annual Back to School Conference on assessment, measuring what truly matters. And they conducted the Mico University College Professional Development Seminar on assessment in the age of AI. So we are contemplating in today's climate what are the correct assessment techniques to be employed. Next is Miss Tamikia Green Mitchell. Tamikia might not be here, so we're going to ask Mr. Bennett to receive on her behalf. And this was her research agenda for last year. She set herself a target and she delivered on that target. An exploration of the use of 21st century methodologies at a teacher training institution. The fourth person in this category is Mr. Jody Brown. So not only do we enjoy the delicacies provided by Mr. Brown, not only does his students enjoy his masterful direction of his classes, but he takes his research seriously. He presented at the INTI International Conference on Green Sustainable Technology and Management on assessing the impact of sustainable education on student behavior at Teachers College, and we know which one, right? Thank you, Mrs. Dawkins. All right, so we're going to move on to some trophies. Well, plaques. Can plaques be called trophies? Yes? Plaques. We're going to invite Dr. Benjamin to make these awards. So this set of trophies celebrates excellence in conference presentations, and they're given to persons who presented at 3 or more conferences, including some international conferences. So first up, and I think she may be surprised, is Miss Ruth Ann Edwards. Now she knows why I wanted her to sit closer. All right, so I have 5 things here listed as her contribution for this period only. Remember, we're only celebrating April last year to now, right? Succession planning and talent management strategies for ensuring institutional continuity and employee development, presented at the Association of Caribbean Higher Education Administration, held in Barbados. The role of professional learning communities in teacher development, presented at Trinidad and Tobago Association for Teacher Educators. Empower as you grow, developing staff capacity through the on-job experiences, presented at the Mico University College. And they left. Now what? An exploration of the leadership styles of administrations of 5 secondary schools and its impact for teacher migration, presented at the University of Toronto OEC CLD conference. So she's prolific. And we are officially booking you for one of these that we have not heard locally for our Research Tuesday. Miss Blair? Okay. Next is Dr. Yvonne Jones Nelson. Dr. Nelson isn't here, so we're going to ask the Dean of the Faculty of Sciences to receive on her behalf. So Dr. Jones Nelson is a research fellow attached to INTI. So the Mico and INTI have formed a partnership, and the Mico staff are taking good advantage of that partnership. I'm proud to say that we had a 10-man team doing presentations at between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning, which speaks to the dedication of the persons who participated. And Dr. Yvonne Jones Nelson is one such. She has 3 accepted research papers to be published internationally. So big things are happening. We want to also recognize Mrs. Alison Ty Monroe. And Monroe Ty, I would say it's dysgraphia. Let's blame it on something other than me. I'm just reading in the reverse order. So we're going to ask Dean Ferron to accept. So bridging the math confidence gap, empowering special educators to teach math. That was a paper presented at the 20th Annual Caribbean Child Research Conference at the UWI. A session presentation at the Mico Care, the blueprint for successful intervention, and a presentation at Churches Teachers College, listening to families, home school practices that support student growth. The next group of people who fall under this segment are the persons we referred to in terms of INTI. It involved organizing and collaborating on the work that they did. And so this was like team effort at its best. And why I singled them out instead of just announcing them like everybody else, I wanted to point out that, you know, this old saying, teamwork makes the? Okay. So this group of people from disparate backgrounds found themselves together and worked well. And that's how we ended up with a 10-man team. All right, so Denise Walker McCarthy. And, all right, so we're going to ask Dean. And I just wanted to point out that she won a sectional prize for the best presenter for her section as well. Professor Bermody Briscoe, Mr. Bennett, we're going to ask you to accept on her behalf. Prof. Briscoe and Mr. Bennett, who is accepting on her behalf, were the 2 key persons who organized that section. So they wrote on multiple papers. All right, so Mr. Bennett, you can just stay right there. I will want to recognize Mr. Bennett. So they worked on articulating undergraduate and postgraduate programs for sustainability in a Jamaican teacher education institution, a participatory case study of the STEM discipline. Next, we want to recognize Mr. Tom Amonde and Mrs. Joy Baker Gibson. Joy can do it. Come, Joy. So they actually worked together. Hence, she's receiving on Mr. Amonde's behalf. And their paper was called Integrating Sustainability into Mathematics Education, a framework concept paper for greening the mathematics classroom at Jamaican teacher education institutions. Does that mean you paint the classrooms green? Which also means that there are a number of people in this category. I do not wish to hear that Research Tuesday has empty slots. There are sufficient material and papers out there that I expect to be brought home to the Mico. All right, so we have a new award that was created this year, and we want to recognize someone for their own publication efforts. This is someone who came over to ITA as a fellow, honed her research agenda, started a research project. The project mushroomed into her own publication, and we want to recognize Mrs. Monique Jackson Reynolds. Now, if anybody wants to learn a good strategy about how to take classroom initiatives beyond the walls of the Mico to the classrooms of Jamaica and to the world, here is Mrs. Jackson Reynolds. Oops. All right, so this is where we started several years ago. We started off with what we called our torchbearers. These were the few colleagues who were charging ahead in spite of everything. They lit the lights, they lit the candles, lit the flashlights in the corners that they occupied, and I'm happy to say that they have continued to do so. So we're very happy to present our Torchbearer Awards, and we're going to ask you to continue. Yes, overtime. So the first person up is none other than Mrs. Shalon Samuels White. So everybody knows that she's a passionate educator, right? I'm not going to read her profile. She's acknowledged as an ASCD emerging leader and was awarded, well, granted, it's a little while ago, we need a new award, Shalon, in 2022 by the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, Washington, D.C. She is smart with how she works. And I'm sharing this because I want us to take that on. So she worked on 2 major papers at 2 conference presentations. Instead of what most of us do, you present at a conference and you park it, she developed on those 2 conference presentations and turned them into 2 publications internationally. One is done in Germany, and, well, the other one not so international. It's kind of our competitors at UA, but, you know, we'll forgive you for that. She also maintains a steady voice as one of the people who write for the media. She does blogs. She does several seminars. And honestly, her work is something that we can all emulate. The last thing that she did in terms of just public voice was reimagining assessment assessing exam anxiety and well-being in the college students, and this was published in. Shalon, you want to help me out here? The Worthy Educator. Thank you so much. And I'll be circulating the links for all of you who may have missed it when it came out before. The next person in this category, the Don himself. The Don himself. The short boss. Mr. Fabian Miller. So don't let the short boss fool you. This is a serious scientist on our hands. Other than scientists whose paper nobody can understand. Serious scientist. And we're so proud of you, Fabian. Let me just read a few of the things that you have done in the last year. The 31st Annual Research Conference, November 4th, 2025, investigating the occurrence of iron deficiency and anemia among college student athletes in Jamaica. And that is in the Faculty of Medical Science Teaching and Research Complex, University of the West Indies. That's one source. He also participated in the INTE Conference on Green Sustainable Technology and Management in July. He presented at the CARFA Annual Health Conference, Mental Health, the Hidden Pandemic, May 7 to 9, 2025. His paper was on the pattern of serum enzymes in preseason creatine kinase and lactate. You know, I'm not going to attempt to do this thing. Just know that is real science. So, congratulations. There is something else that I want to say about Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller is one of the people that I consider a real partner for ITA. So when we want somebody to mentor another colleague, we can always, always rely on him to, work together with colleagues and produce something worthwhile. The last person in this category, not the last person, certainly not the last person. So we want to recognize Mrs. Jackson Reynolds in two spheres, one for the publication that she did, and the other because she maintains the momentum. So don't think that she rested on her laurels, even though these are significant laurels. She continued to present at conferences. She continued to hold education seminars with the Ministry of Education, with the Mico University College, across teachers' colleges in the island. So she has been a very busy lady in the last year. So and I want to say too that the ministry is very interested in her approach to STEM. So we expect to have island-wide rollout based on Mrs. Jackson Reynolds' initiatives. All right, so the final person in this category is Dr. Please clap. Shauna K. Williams Gray Pinnock. She knows where we are coming from. So not only are we celebrating the fact that she completed doctoral studies very, very recently, But in spite of doing doctoral studies, because most of us, we lock away when we're studying. We don't have time to do this and the other. But Mrs. Dr. Williams Pinnock maintained her momentum. She serves as one of the lead facilitators at the Ministry of Education's literacy workshops in June 2025. She co-facilitated a Chase-funded webinar on developing responsive educational initiatives. She still writes for the newspapers, letters for the day. So there are multiple formats in which one can maintain a good, solid, visible presence, and we congratulate you. So who is missing? Who is missing? Who do we normally have up here with this category? And they're just noticeably missing. Who is calling Mr. Ferron Leroy? Who is calling Dean Ferron Leroy? So this year, we introduced yet a brand new category. We had to create one just for this gentleman. And, sorry, we're going to ask Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones? Thank you, Dr. Benjamin. Thank you. Okay. Come, Mr. Ferron. Mr. Leroy Ferron, an accomplished educator, academic leader, and researcher serving as Dean of the Faculty of Education at the Mico University College, a former youth parliamentarian and current IBI Initiative Ambassador in the Governor General's Program for Excellence, he has produced over 200 publications, including 8 books, with Exploring Geography, Book 2, among his most recent national contributions. His scholarship has earned him the Governor General's Achievement Awards for Academics and Community Service, the CTC 60th Anniversary Alumni Research Award for Research, and of course he has been our Aicha torchbearer from the initial stages. He was also nominated the Best Oral Presenter at the INTI for your category. Yes? All right. And his international impact is reflected in the 2025 feature in China's People's Daily, reaching millions globally. Truly, truly impressive. All right, so this category is the final category here is the most outstanding publication. Now, I'm going to, give a little bit of a disclaimer. It is a little weird that we are recognizing our own publication. But it's not weird because of the caliber and the quality and the example being set for the Mico University College. And we felt that it was necessary to signal that this is an award category. This book can be entered again next year. So it simply means that we are putting it out there that authors need to contemplate what they're going to be publishing in the upcoming period and how it will be evaluated to see if next year we will have a second award in this category. Now, the recipients, both recipients are neither recipient is here. So we're going to ask Dr. Benjamin to receive on their behalf. So we are recognizing the Garvey book. It is a serious book. I think anybody who is doing history at the Mico should use this, should have this as part of their natural reading list. And those of you who are interested in where we are coming from as a people and how it impacts educators should also have a copy. So we are recognizing Professor Clinton Hutton. He was hitting it hard. Director of ITA, and Professor Houghton is on his way. I expect him to just walk through the door at any moment. And Dr. Asburn Pinnock, President of the Mico University College. So they co-edit. It's an edited volume, and it really has some hard hitters. It has Julius Garvey, son of Marcus Garvey, contributing. It has Professor Vereen Shepherd. It has a number of outstanding scholars. And so this edited volume collects the works of experts in the field. And Professor Houghton and Dr. Pinnock share a chapter in that as well. And, oh, no, okay. So who do you think, you heard all these awards, who you think ended up with the most outstanding department? Boy, you know, science gave them a run for their money this year, you know. So who says professional studies? Who says science? Mr. Farron? Oh, okay, wonderful. Leading by example. So this is the department that had the most active number of research staff overall. And so, you know, it was a tight race for two. We want the others to join in very, very soon. Hopefully next year we will see some other competitors emerging. But we congratulate the team from Department of Professional Studies, and we look forward to your continued excellence. And having said that, it's a no-brainer. Landslide victory. Congratulations to the most outstanding faculty, the Faculty of Education. Thank you. All right, so we're going to proceed with the next segment of our program, and I'm going to invite, yes? You know, I said that Prof is going to walk through the door right after. Here we are.
Dr. Albert Benjamin, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Mrs. Maria Jones, other distinguished guests, students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to this session as we continue our commitment to strengthening teaching and learning in the 21st century, or for the 21st century. As educators, we know that the landscape of schooling is changing rapidly. Our students are growing up in a world shaped by innovation, technology, creativity, and complex problem solving. If we are to prepare them well our methodologies must evolve with equal intention and courage. This morning, we have the privilege of engaging with a scholar practitioner who has taken up this challenge with clarity and purpose. Mrs. Monique Jackson Reynolds is an educator whose work reflects a deep passion for transforming classrooms into spaces where curiosity strives, creativity is nurtured, and learning becomes an active, joyful pursuit. She is an educator of the STEM methodology for the 21st century educators, a timely and insightful contribution that helps teachers integrate science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics in ways that are practical, culturally relevant, and responsive to the needs of today's learners. Her work reminds us that STEAM is not simply a set of subjects, but a mindset, one that encourages exploration, collaboration, innovation, and critical thinking. This morning, she will guide us through the key ideas in our text, offering strategies and perspectives that can enrich our practice and inspire new possibilities in our classrooms. Her academic accomplishments speak for themselves and position her as a fitting presenter for this morning's session. She has been an educator for the past 22 years. She currently serves as a lecturer at the Mico, Teachers University College, in the Department of Language, Literacy, and Literature. She's a STEAM educator certified by Texas Computer Education and an international instructor for teaching English as a second language certified by World TESOL Academy. Mrs. Reynolds is currently pursuing a doctorate in educational philosophy as a scholarship recipient with UNICAF University in Zambia. She has maintained a passion for working with all stakeholders in the quest to achieve positive outcomes in education. Mrs. Reynolds has presented at several conferences, but recently she presented at the Monique Multidisciplinary College's Faculty of Education Professional Development Seminar in April 2025. And our recent presentation focused on STEAM education in Jamaican classrooms. Of course, you know that she published this very great book here, STEAM Methodology for 21st Century Educators, through Amazon Kindle Direct in July 2025. And she also published the first book in our Crocus Bag Chronicles series, Civic Pride, Development Series for Jamaican Children. And also The Secret of Patty, a little bit of this and some of that, through Amazon Kindle Direct in August 2025. She has also written 2 short courses for the in-service Jamaican teachers called STEAM Literacy, Leveraging STEAM Education to Support Critical Comprehension and Innovative Thinking, which was approved by the Mico University College Academic Board in August 2025. The first offering from October to December 2025 was very successful, where 10 teachers from across the island completed with competency in consulting STEAM-based lesson plans and problem-based performance tasks. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Monique Jackson Reynolds as she presents her groundbreaking work, STEAM Methodology for 21st century educators.
Good morning, everyone. Who believe I'm nervous? But I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I know when I start to talk, everything will flow a little bit more, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for what we just saw, all the awards and just the collaboration. So what I'm sharing with you today, it's not a new research. It's actually called extended research, where you're actioning previous recommendations from earlier research. But a little bit before I get into that journey with you, I want to take the opportunity just to really give thanks for just the opportunity that I've had with such excellent mentors and support. I mean, most of us, when we would have done our master's degree and we did our research, it kind of stopped there for a while. Anybody with me? And many of us, we have been doing a lot of work, like for me and many of our colleagues, a lot of intervention in schools and so on, but the documentation can take some time, am I right? And then we have our workload and all of that. But I was so grateful. I didn't know that I would be afforded the opportunity to accomplish so much. And can I tell you, I know when we say research, sometimes it's kind of like an elephant in the room for a lot of persons. Pinky finger, anybody? But can I tell you, I am loving it. I am enjoying it. I can't believe I'm enjoying it so much. And I wanted to create a little collage just to promote this opportunity because I don't think persons in the faculty and department understand what we have here through ITA. Can we give a round of applause for ITA? It's completely different in terms of what I would have expected, so I'm sharing a bit of my journey. I was research fellow for 2 years. Before I started to delve into my own research, I got the opportunity, if you're seeing on the screen, follow me in terms of the pictures from, what's this, left to right. So I had the opportunity to be part of the STEM conference as a repertoire where, you know, we go and observe and document. And I had my ideas, but when I saw the plethora of research presentations from all over the world, I mean, I got goosebumps, and I'm like, yeah, man, my ideas, I can do this too, and I want to do this too, and all of that. So that was the first step in terms of the ideas I had. And, you know, sometimes all your ideas are jumbled up, and then you don't really get some time to flesh it out. And that lady there, she's not a normal lady. She's not a normal lady, and I'm so grateful for her, not her alone. Dr. J, just stand up a little bit. We have to acknowledge some very awesome. And if you look in the acknowledgement page in my book, Miss Dr. William Spinner, she's not only my sister, but I'm telling you, Shellon is our sister, she's a mentor. Just wave your hand, Shellon. My dean and HOD, they may be out in practicum, and my language department, Mrs. Baker Gibson, Sir Ferran. I mean, it's just awesome to be amongst scholars, and not just scholars in the highfalutin term, but I'm talking about real people who will help you on the journey. Find yourself to the point where you become a resource person for not only your school, but communities, regionally, and even the world. So And have you ever thought about Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky and Einstein? They're real persons like you and I. And I'm like, yeah, Monique, I can do that. So I feel this way now, and from that now I was propelled to just delve in and participate through international meetups from ASCD, present at Shortwood Teachers College's Research Conference, continuing JTA conferences. And if you notice, what I love too is that you get to collaborate. I made sure to put some pictures there with Sir Ferron and Shellon. Remember that day? And where you're not on your own. You know, you're working and you're collaborating. Even in schools, because schools are calling us, you know, need training and so on. So the collaboration from my partner in crime there, you'll hear from her a little bit more, Ms. Stevenson, and the language department. We go out into the schools. Mico Care Conference, it was a trio with my HOD, Mrs. Bonner Edwards, Kadian, and Miss Blair Ita. Yes, so there's so much room for collaboration. And then Monique is my alma mater, even though I'm naturalized as a Miconian. But it was a proud moment to be called back to Monique. And I used to give Sir Isaac a little trouble, you know, but when he saw me presenting, he was like, there is hope. And then even the inaugural symposium of applied research at the Trenchtown Polytechnic College, I was asked to come and share research that I did on TVET, STEAM in TVET institutions, data-driven inclusive instruction, and so on. So we got a chance to share. So I just wanted to put that in there. Hopefully, I'm getting other persons excited. Anybody else excited about research, even the students and so on, and understand that it does take work, but the end result is just, I'm lost for words. The end result in terms of the impact and your development, it's just amazing. So, 2 years ago, 2024, I was up here presenting on a research called Fostering a STEAM-Powered Workforce. And this was, in terms of extension, it's where new studies build upon the findings and methodologies of previous work. So, in a nutshell, this research that was done was at a summer camp for 2 communities in West Kingston that they needed assistance with improving the science, social studies, language arts, and mathematics skills of students, but they had literacy problems. So we designed a literacy intervention program. Myself and Kadian went down into the communities. That's Kadian right there. We trained the teachers, and they got certification. We executed the program, and the program was featured. The students did very well. Because of that, and then the fact that it was featured in the newspaper, more calls from schools all over the island. And then the implications from that research was, how do we now move towards teacher training institutions, revamping our programs or courses to include multiple intelligences, project-based learning, the situational model, and zoom in on application of knowledge, not just depth of knowledge where we recall information, but helping our students to be innovative and apply the knowledge that comes out of the theory, comes out of the textbooks. For current teachers, in-service persons now, they need to upskill, you know, and understand these frameworks and the methodologies. Stakeholders, we need to get persons involved, collaborate to aid teachers with preparing for implementation, innovative instructional activities for positive and advanced learning outcomes. So where are we from there? So from one of the implications was for current teachers. So the good thing is that from the professional development series, a 10-week professional development series that we did with those teachers and the TVET teachers, I ended up with good material that I could put together and add some more dense research in terms of framework, and then we would have had the book out of it. Because From the engagements, the questions from the teachers, the recommendations, we recorded them. And one of the recommendations or the request was that they would love to have all of the information like in a manual or so. So the book was provided. The book itself, it includes, hope you can see, I tried to put like the table of contents. It doesn't capture everything, but from just understanding the process of education to innovation, the purpose and perceptions of education, and then what does it mean to be successful in the learning process, just that background. Then chapter 2 talks a lot about the advancement of STEM to STEAM in terms of the product and the processes, but then in terms of STEAM, the humanities part, getting the innovation to people, to real people who need the innovation to solve real problems. So that process, understanding STEAM in education, successful STEAM initiatives, and collaborative action research. Now, what we found, a lot of teachers have been buying the books, educators, schools have been buying the books from their departments and so on. I've had international persons ordering the books in their area, especially California, for their state STEAM initiative. But what I find, especially in our local sphere, is that several principals, teachers, and the Ministry of Education regional literacy specialists, they have been requesting formal training for Chapter 3. Now, Chapter 3 is a formula that I ended up developing from the process that we used for the previous research, and I call it the STEAM Flexi formula. Everybody say Flexi. Flexi means that part, it means the methodology fits into the needs of your students, your community. You know, there's no one size fit all. So we have to take what we have and we have to make it be meaningful for the persons who we're using it for. So what we did now is, okay, outside of persons having the book, they wanted actual training in terms of strategic integration. Do you know integration is not easy to do? It takes a lot of time. And if we're talking about STEM, integrating the core facets that overlap, and not just overlap, but overlap and connect to reality, that's not easy to do. There's a lot of background work to do that. And many of our in-service teachers are struggling with that area, because do you know that we're usually, the Caribbean region usually employs a monodiscipline culture. We know that most of us are trained in a particular area. I am literacy basically, you know, and we have specializations. However, when we look at what is needed for persons to not just function in society, but be contributors to nation building, and then be innovative with new ideas, we realize we need to help persons make that integrative connection, so that when you are approaching your daily lives, though, let me say those who are very versed in mathematics. I mean, not me. With my STEM now, I can put my hand off halfway now, right? Linguistics, language, science. Yes, a lot of scientists in the room. But, Sir Benjamin, my colleagues, when you deal with daily challenges, do you only use your scientific knowledge? Do you use some measuring skills? Do you have to communicate? We have to pull now. We have to amalgamate from the various disciplines. But do we know that many individuals find it hard to do that? We come upon a problem, and even though we learned these different subjects in schools and so on, a lot of times we forget some of the other areas because we have been focusing on this specialization for years and years and years, right? So we want to look at, when we say STEM, STEAM, it's not just a concept. You know, it's a way to elevate us to attack the issues at hand, right? And not only the issues or the problems, but to become innovative. There's so many things happening around us, right? Where we can utilize this type of collaborative effort. So, okay, a lot of thinking. how can we try to help all these teachers across the island? Because look here, I can't afford to lose my work at Mico. I can't get up and go everywhere, you know. So we were thinking. And then we started to look at, okay, how do we work smart like Shellan does? We looked at alignment of the institutional objectives from the institution first, and then the faculty, and then the department. So theme 2, in terms of the institutional objective, on the objective 10, speaks to the problem of the lack of training in STEM and STEAM across the island. And one of our objectives as an institution is to train teachers to ensure that STEM, STEAM culture permeates at all levels, early childhood, primary, secondary level. And then the indicators would be that teachers are exposed to the concepts, methodologies, and techniques through the delivery of in-service programs while you are working. So many times when persons think that they're learning something new, they get frustrated and overwhelmed because they think they have to do it out, something adding on. But what we are trying to help persons to understand, it's not an add-on. It's while you are working. And it is, at the end of the day, it's going to be beneficial to you as the educator and to your students, to the community at large. So that's the thrust that we wanted to have. All right, so we moved into, okay, all right, so it aligns with Mico's objectives. And my dean has walked in at the perfect time, where I'm going to talk about the objective from the Faculty of Humanities and Liberal Arts, where one of the objectives was for us to create short courses to be accessible for teachers all across the island, because we have good stuff here at the Mico, right? And we would love for all the teachers, as many teachers as possible, to be able to access these skills and concepts. So we moved into now the creation of the 10-week certification short course. And at first, when there's a lot of research, all the information from in the book and then some, based on information, based on questions from the teachers, literacy concerns, special education concerns, just integration concerns, and all of that we kind of placed into 3 units to address some background framework and then move up into the nitty-gritty of how do you integrate in terms of lesson plans, how do you help your students to assimilate, you know, the information, pull from relevant disciplines for a particular need, and then how do you assess in an innovative way using project-based, problem-based, and the engineering design process. All right, so we created the course itself. Went through vigor. It was approved by the faculty board with some conditions of adjustments. And I love that in terms of the process, because we have ideas. Then we have our colleagues to show us that, okay, maybe you can add that. Some questions you didn't think about, persons can raise those questions and you iron out those things, and then you revamp it. Then it goes to another level, and then it was approved by academic board. The course was launched and marketed during an online International Literacy Day webinar. At this webinar, there was a host of Ministry of Education personnel, and they were just pleased, excited that they can finally tell the teachers at the schools that they're responsible for that, yes, there is a short course Mico is offering. So what happened then is that we have ministry personnel from curriculum unit, education officers, regional directors, that they're all recommending the course to Jamaican teachers all over the island. So the pilot was done in first semester, where we had 14 persons registering, but we had 10 teachers completing. The storm was a little issue for some teachers that were living in Montego Bay and St. Elizabeth. So we had 4 of them in the course now. So we are actually in our second offering, more than double the number of persons. And yes, we are more than halfway. And it will take, if you see, I put on this side, new paper, year 1. This is where the new research will be built out, the effectiveness of this short course in terms of addressing a national need. So that is where the new paper will come out right here. Because I want a full year, a full academic year, we will offer it, not concurrently, we'll offer it, it's a rolling offering, right? First semester, first is 10 weeks, second semester, and third semester. We already have, now we have 22 students enrolled, and they are in their 6th week. They did their first assessment, and they are preparing for the lesson plan, STEAM lesson plan assessment. And we have teachers that are actually registering for the June offering. So persons are excited. I want to show you a little bit about how we have collaborated as one Mico. Everybody say one Mico? Right, to make this happen, where the course itself was offered through the Department of Language, but we collaborated with the School of Continuing Studies that has the framework to offer the short courses. The link that was sent out, where the ministry personnel has been, circulating. If you look there, this is the live responses. I don't know if you can see, it's 121 teachers currently from across the island that has done the pre-registration for their interest. So what we are doing is every week, the new set of persons, the administrative office at the School of Continuing Studies, they call them directly, right? And have you ever seen some things pop up in terms of international universities? And if you even click on it, it's like instantly you get an email or somebody calling you wanting to be your advisor. So look here, we're all up on that right now in terms of the Mico and our programs. We are calling them, we're guiding them through, we're getting them in, and we're helping them to complete. So to the point where the previous group, they are advocating, they are promoting the program based on their experiences. So out of that, we have sponsorship, starting at a small scale, but I want the evidence now from the paper to show as evidence to present to, some persons that have, a larger purse that can help with a large number of teachers. But currently, we have 5 teachers from an institution in Kingston that has received full scholarship from their board, paid for all of them fully, and not only paid the tuition, but bought the books for all of them. So, another addition is that the book has been approved as a text for the course. So that is everything in line together. And if you think that we are rolling, we're still rolling, I'm going to ask Ms. Stevenson to join me up here because it takes a team to make a dream work. Ms. Brown is in the room. Vashtina? She's not here. And Ms. Edwards, I know she's on practicum. All right, so remember the implications from the first. So we're at future teachers now, where we looked at the fact that our students, our Miconian students, they need to be equipped because we are out there training in service teachers. We need to ensure that our Miconians, when they go out there, they're a cut above the rest. Am I right? Right. So is anyone off with the course literacy instruction in content areas? Right. Now, the course coordinator is Miss Vashtina Brown, and she is, if you know her, she's an analyst. She's very critical, but I love that about her. She reviewed the book thoroughly, and she made a profound recommendation. So the book is now a recommended text for that general education course. So all of our Miconian students will be accessing this book for the gen ed course. And she mentioned why too. I put in quotation what she said. She said the book is particularly useful for you units 5 to 7 of the course as it deals with instructional approaches for integrating STEAM education in the content areas, in your math class, in your bio class, whatever program you're doing, in industrial, computer science. Look here, so the computer science students, when they get the STEAM, oh man, they just pull it apart. Emphasis is also placed on lesson planning, using the approach, and practical examples are included in the book. Students who access the course will no doubt gain academic value. That's from Ms. Brown. And guess what? The book, the cost of it is $4,000, but the Miconians get it for 40% off only 2,500 for our students, right? And then teachers who access the STEAM, they get it for 3,000. So, you know, it pays to be part of Mico. All right. So, moving on into the last part of the research impact that I know that you're going to be very excited about is how we have integrated our students in the project and where we're going. So, the alignment with the department's objective now is to integrate STEAM-related content into the teacher training courses in our current courses. And Ms. Stevenson is the coordinator of a particular course. And when we looked at, in our standardization, we looked at, okay, how can this be done? And we looked at the same phases that the teachers in the schools want us to come out and teach them to do. We looked at how do we include helping our students to do strategic integration, foster assimilation, and help them to be innovative in what they're doing. And we're utilizing, through the STEAM Flexi Formula, phase 3, the engineering design process, where Ms. Stevenson is the coordinator of the Early Literacy Development Theories and Skills course. And what we did was to look at the coursework description and where it was that the students do create manipulatives for literacy development, but we know literacy is a set of skills, right? Literacy is not content. So it's a set of skills to help you to be able to understand content and apply skills and knowledge and so on. So we looked at the engineering design process from being able to define a problem or a need, and we're talking about real problem and real need, usually when the product of their coursework would be displayed, and Ms. Stevenson is standing where there are some products. Usually we do the marking in a classroom, and the students like pretended that they were actual teachers. But now we actually helped them to identify a real school that have real needs, and their coursework pieces will be put to real use. So I'm going to ask the students who are representing here from the Early Literacy Development Theories and Skills to stand and be acknowledged because they are steaming. Stand up, man, don't be shy. Some of them have their prototypes, and some of Ms. Stevenson's class has already executed. I'm not going to steal that thunder from her. I think she's the person to come and talk about that part. So class A, Ms. Stevenson, that was her class. I have another class. All right, go ahead.
So we got a real need. And so a particular primary school in Kingston asked us to be, the language department, to be a part of their literacy fair. And at that point, we saw it fit to use the early literacy development, course, theories and skills, to use the first coursework to let the students use the engineering, designing aspect of Monique's Flexi Formula so that the students could get the experience and they could also go through the process of analyzing the need, creating the prototype, and going through the consultation to improve on the type. So the particular school in question, they asked us to be a part of their literacy fair on March 13, 2026. So that was like last week. And their theme was language is our superpower, our words, our culture. And so we focused on super word builder, super sentence lab, and that was looking at developing writing and communication skills, language game arena, and that looked at collaboration. So the literacy specialists at the school would have given us the class profile as well as the related needs and the particular topic of focus from the different content area across the NSC. And what our students would have done was engage now in research to create, to brainstorm the different types of games that could best fit the particular themes. And as you can see here, we have snake and ladder. There is a fact and opinion maze, and this was a top hit with the children. So we had the fact and opinion maze, because you know in grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well, they're doing facts and opinion. And so we had the word cards where they would have to read the prompts and then they would have to move the box to let the marble go along the maze to find a path. Then we also had this one was to develop vocabulary, and so it was emphasizing, I think it's the verbs. This one was called the Rolling Sentence Challenge, as one of the theme was sentence, super sentence lab. So hence we had the sentence wheel. One of the highlights of the moment was that the regional literacy coordinator, Miss McBean, was there. And she commended the Mico for the efforts, for the innovation, for the creativity. And she asked of them to ensure that when they get into the classrooms, they use these skills to maximize learning. Right? So I'm going to go play the video for you. It's not playing, money.
All right, it's not playing, but that's fine. Everybody clapped, and our Mico name is out there, but in terms of the flagship of our students being involved in STEAM, I'm sure that she is going back to rest of MOE to let them know that, look here, Mico gonna lead with their students. So give it up again for the students. So this is a little last slide where my class has not yet executed. They are actually in the 5th stage where they have their prototypes. As a matter of fact, this is our class time where their prototypes are being analyzed today. And the need for them is actually a high school that is a part of a bigger project, or faculty adapter school project, in regards to APPS, the Alternative Pathway Program. Those students are in high school, but they're actually reading at the grade 1 level, kindergarten level. So the early literacy development, it will help them as well. And our students will execute in the official launch, April 15. So this is another research paper, Mrs. Alvaranga, where we're going to see the impact of what our students has done for real schools. So stay tuned. Yes, that's it. I'm sorry. Any questions? Comments?
All I can say is, whoa.
Yes, God be praised. Yes, we're excited and we're trusting God to press ahead. And that anyone can come and join us. Yes, Miss Gibson. Yes, Miss. Ah, yes. Yes. Right. You can, my students, what did I say to you? This morning I showed them an international kit. And there's an international body in Jamaica now going around, and they're doing well. But then I said to them, look at what your colleagues produced, and look at the kit. And we're not discriminating or anything. And I said to them, which one is more meaningful? And they said, these, miss. And I said to them now, for the future, we want to see if we can find sponsors that can help us to restructure these games, because they're directly related to the themes in the NSC, so that our teachers can use the resources and our children can benefit. Yes, Ms. Alvaranga.
I want to say, oh God, you know that I'm like supremely proud.
Yes.
There are two opportunities that you can think of.
Mhm.
They're small,
Yes.
Small things lead to big
Oh,
things.
yes.
So the innovation hub that is coming up. we're
Oh,
having a conference,
yes, yes.
Because they are doing an incubation link.
Right.
So that's one. The other is the research funds that's about 200,000. It's not a lot of money.
Right.
But 200,000
Can be a seed.
China could develop a kit.
Yes, that is so true.
So you need to
We
start
spoke about?
thinking about
Yes.
what we have
Right.
available.
Okay.
The new tranche for the existing round of funds begins in April.
Mhm.
So
Awesome. All right. Yes, miss.
One question. For teachers that are now presently registered,
Right.
is it that they were the ones that did it phase one?
The course takes in all phases. The unit 1 speaks to the background information and understanding STEM and STEAM and the theoretical framework and all of that. And then now unit 2 and 3 helps them now to apply the skills in creating STEAM-based lesson plans and STEAM-based performance tasks for the class, for the level that they are actually teaching. Yes.
But you mentioned that you are now going to be using the results from the course for your new project.
Yes.
New
Research, right.
Wondering if the participants, if they will roll in over as new, fresh participants.
Right. Each 10 weeks, every semester, there's a new set. And we have already gathered the data from the first set in terms of their feedback. We're using the coursework pieces in terms of the proficiency, you know, based on the criteria of STEAM-based lesson plans, international criteria of STEAM-based performance tasks, project-based, problem-based, where they had those criteria, they learned how to do it, they analyzed international samples and so on, and then they went ahead and worked as groups to produce their own. They have become resource persons in their schools and their communities. So that's what we wanted.
Sorry, our students are presently working on curriculum studies.
Mm-hmm.
We have to design a curriculum unit.
Yes.
And one of the educational challenges is the same STEAM,
Mm-hmm.
how we can use STEAM in the 21st century.
Ah.
So is it okay now?
Oh, yes. Of course. That's what we want to happen. That's what we want to happen. And more celebration. I'm ending with this drop the mic type of thing. Mico Week, the book is half off for everybody. 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 So talk to us later on. Oh my. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Yes. Not an explicit collaboration, but as I mentioned, many persons maybe they don't understand the same course, the general education course, literacy instruction in content areas. So there's a unit with the STEAM where not only sciences, but mathematics, all through the students and through that general education course. But we're sharing here today, very similar to what my colleagues, to let you know what's going on and to see if it is that what we're doing can fit with something that, you know, the different faculties and departments are doing. Oh, definitely. That's the purpose we're here today. So, and if all of us collaborate, I can't just imagine what we're going to get. All right? Yes.
I know that we maybe have other questions, but we're pressed for time because we are behind. But whoa, can you put your hands together again for the presentation? I want to thank you, Mrs. Jackson Reynolds, for such an engaging, thought-provoking presentation. Your insights into STEM methodology have reminded us that the 21st century teaching is not simply about delivering content, but about cultivating curiosity, creativity, and confidence in our learners. And you have challenged all of us to rethink our approaches to embrace innovation and create learning environments where students can explore, question, design, and imagine. We are grateful for your clarity and your passion and practicality you brought to this session. We want to thank you very much. And we know that, Mico, with what you are doing and what all of us are doing together, Mico will always be a cut above the rest. Thank you.
So, what an exciting lineup. You see how many things we can do when we work together? Please make sure we are always ready and waiting over at ITA. And you know, Monique is the other. We talk about Fabian being one hand, not Fabian, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller. Being one hand that collaborates well with us. Mrs. Jackson Reynolds is another such hand. And we have a few persons like that who work closely with ITA, all in the research track. So please be encouraged. At this time, we are going to invite our director of ITA to just give us an overview on the Mico publishers, followed by Dr. Kay Dunkley, who is going to give you an overview of the Journal of Education. All right, so welcome, Professor Houghton.
Colleagues and friends, good morning. We have established a publishing house last year. We launched it. It's called the Mico Publishers. And we can very much link that to what you have heard this morning. Because we are here to publish the work so that many areas, institutions, publics will be able to have access to our research, to the way we think and choreograph our experiences for learning, for training. And so this is a juncture in Mico's journey in our 198th year to take an area that was not the focus of the Mico. The focus was in teacher training in the form of teaching people to be teachers, but we have to go beyond that. Beyond is what those teachers and faculty do with their experience, with their environment, to create research, to create content that is appropriate for our journey to be, our journey of becoming. So ITA is a place where this Mico publishers, and we have done our first publications, and we are working to do our second and third for this year. Anything in education and outside of education, one of the things we want to do is to publish children's book. I don't think we have enough children's literature. Right? And we need to do that. All age group, 5, 3, 4, going up to teenagers. We need to have more of that. And probably link that with an annual festival of publications of children's book. Because what we are talking about is how do we get people to learn to see adventure in reading, as I have seen in my growing up, and to develop the capacity of our young people to not only to know themselves, but on the basis of knowing themselves, to shape their action, what we call agency. And that ought to be an important goal of education. And so the Mico publishers, we intend to publish your work, peer review work, but peer reviewed, and to publish persons within Jamaica, within the Caribbean, and well beyond that, right? And we hope, too, in doing all of this, it has to become an important business of the Mico. Publishing ought to be an important business of the Mico, but it's also the fulcrum from which we develop, we put our thoughts in various ways. We're able to publish them, have book launches, have book reviews, have festivals, have speakers from here and everywhere. And what I'm actually seeing is that there's really a quiet revolution going on in Mico. And you can hear from the speakers this morning snippets of that revolution, of that type of thinking, of that type of agency. Because what we're doing, we're actually creating values and not mimicking people who have research appropriate for their area. Not that we should not learn from everything. I would be totally opposed to focus on us as if we are the only persons in the world and we have nobody else to learn from. But the important thing is that we have our own experiences and experiences recognized around the world. We need to see it like that, at the formal level and at the informal level. What we have done for music globally, there's no other country this size that can compete with that, right? And therefore, what is the research on music? What is the research on culture? What is the research on ethics? What is the research? What theories can we construct from these for pedagogical reasons? And everything. We have had teachers over the years, very experienced teachers, master teachers. Part of our research is to find those teachers who are still around and to find their friends and relatives and colleagues to create the necessary research so that their experience can become guiding lights for our journey into 191, 200, 210, 220, 240, 250 years and beyond that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Houghton. I also wanted to add that we have started the process, and again, it is the language and literacy people who are leading the charge in that regard, but we are in the process of compiling some students' poems. So there is a collection of students' work that is in the pipeline. The champion, Mrs. Champagne, is on leave at the moment, but the moment she returns, we will be seeing some new output. All right, so now we're going to turn our attention to the semifinal activity, and we're going to be focused on the Journal of Education at this point in time, Volume 10. And we're going to invite our guest editor to give her remarks, after which we will just present to all the persons who helped us with the Volume 10 their due certificates of recognition. So, Dr. Dunkley? I'm not seeing it. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, so we have been hearing about the innovative work that is happening. We've been hearing about it, research moving from ideation into publication, into extended research. And I want us today to kind of look back at the gaps. And I want us to think about the gaps, because when we are studying, a lot of us are doing PhDs, a lot of us are doing another master's, a lot of us are in the space of study. One of the things that we put on limitation, gaps in the literature from the Caribbean. It's almost a standard response. It's almost and I've looked at a lot of dissertations from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. And I want us to look at it from a point of view of the Mico filling those gaps. Because that is what we come to you with in the space of the journal. We don't look at the journal. In fact, a lot of Miconians will say, the journal, we still have that. But I want us to look at it from the perspective, from the lens of filling the gaps. We are introducing to you Volume 10. Yeah? And we're introducing it to you in a space where there's a whole heap of change happening. We have technological change. We have World War III on the horizon. We have labor market demands. We have recovery from Hurricane Beryl, recovery from Hurricane Melissa. We have we're still trying to figure out COVID-19. And here we are now in a space where our teachers are being called upon to respond. And the question is, how? And the question is based on what data? Because at the same time that we're being called upon to respond, we're also being held accountable for the decisions that are taken. So let me introduce to you the 9 articles, because the journal comes with 9 articles. And it is separated into 3 sections. The first one looks at coming out of COVID-19, some of the lessons that we learned. And I know Mr. Ferron, soon to be Dr. Ferron, soon to be Professor Ferron, has been lauded on this space, in this space. But he writes an article on how do we use technology in relation to differentiation. Can we leverage it? Can it be used? How can it be used? What is the data saying? Because at the same time that differentiation is being expected, we haven't really seen a lot of literature about differentiation and technology. We haven't really seen a lot of literature coming out of the Caribbean in the space of differentiation. So there's a lot of conversation about differentiation, but what is the data saying? What is the relationship with technology? Another article, and I found this one really interesting to read, in relation to technology, came from Dr. Mundell. And it looked at testing And it looked at testing and online testing, using online space for testing. And it was interesting to note that the findings indicated that online tests for coursework pre-COVID, during COVID, was pretty similar. But for exams, the difference was clear. Something happening. Don't know if it's a reliance on AI or an access to AI, because you know all of the gadgets come now with a way of going around and turning off cameras, etc. But one of the questions being asked is open book test dead? To maintain integrity, do we have to step away from that? And as educators, I want us to recognize that these are things that we think about every day. These are decisions that we take without even looking at the documentation, you know. We said, no, you know, last term, no, had a spike. So, for example, that's what Mundell did. She tracked what happened and said, oh, I can see where I can use it, but these are my limitations. I tell you, this is a must read. So that was the first section, coming out of COVID, because we're still recovering. We're still learning. The second section dealt with STEAM and STEM because, of course, coming out of COVID, this is the new way forward. This is the thrust. This is calling. But what does STEAM and STEM really mean? And STEAM and STEM, we had Jackson Reynolds, and you've heard about her intervention. She adds an article here about the intervention, talking to us about how it was done and what the findings were. But we also got another article, now not from the teacher point of view, but from the Ministry of Education point of view. Because the Ministry of Education is saying STEAM and STEM and STEAM and STEM and we are going, okay, but we don't really know what they've been doing. So they actually tell us what they've been doing. They actually tell us about what they've implemented, how they've implemented it, the schools that they've gone into, the phases that they've rolled out in, and they actually tell us what they find. What did they find? Teachers are willing, but constrained. Teachers are open, but it takes time. Teachers are wanting to integrate STEM and STEAM, but how it is done will take some sort of collaboration or unit planning, something to pull it together. It's not just a one-man show. The last part, there's another article, and this was an interesting look on how the STEM and STEAM subject areas are proposed, are marketed. How do we get our students out there interested in them? Led by our Natural Sciences Department, it looked at how do we get our students to choose those subjects, such as geography, such as physics, such as chemistry. How do we get, because one of the things we are recognizing here at the institution is that the intake is low. But the intake may be low because the intake in the schools are low. So how do schools actually get the students interested in the subject? And they went to a wide cross-section of schools, traditional, non-traditional schools, and they did their work, and they found that there's a glaring difference between the schools and also between male and female interest. What kind of implication does this have for the teacher? What kind of implication does this have for the institution called the Mico? Because again, if our students out there are not taking up the subject, it means that sooner or later the intake will become nil. And I have Ms. Stevenson over here saying it has started. It has more than started. We have certain areas that where a percentage of a percentage of a percentage does not all go well. The last two articles in the journal relate to STEAM in relation to social emotional learning. When we talk about STEAM and STEM, we tend to talk about math and, well, we very rarely, we put a little a, not a big A. You know, that little arts, you know, just throw a dash of arts in there. But with arts tend to come the social and emotional learning. And this article the two articles looked at social and emotional learning and the way forward. Because without the soft skills, we're creating a space where there may be competent, knowledgeable, but socially, I like that word term, socially malnourished. Yes? Not adequately prepared to work with others, etc. The final article by Minot looks at Vision 2030, concept paper, Vision 2030, and cell. If they marry, we have a good thing going. But we don't tend to talk about Vision 2030 in relation to social and emotional learning. We kind of talk about Vision 2030 in terms of social and developmental goals. We talk about it in relation to the economics. We talk about it in relation to achieving national priorities. But if Minot's position is, if we talk about it in relation to social and emotional learning, we are creating a framework for the goals to be accomplished, but it can't be in isolation. It has to be a marriage. The journal was not easy to move from manuscript to meaning. And I say that in the space of editor because you recognize that the articles seem unrelated, but yet they come together to respond to gaps and respond to the space that we're moving into. I think Prof. Hutton called it the becoming. So who are we becoming into now, coming out of COVID? Who are we becoming into now out of Hurricane Melissa? It was not easy. Timelines, and I like to say that timelines were something that, you know, we had to keep up with, because as we got closer to publication, it got more and more urgent to have conversations, and everybody's time was going in different ways because the Mico is a dynamic organization. So the pulling of the manuscripts to meaning was not the easiest. It took time. And what you see in front of you is a culmination of almost a year's work. What you see in front of you came under the guidance of Miss Blair, came under the guidance of Mrs. Alvarango, came under the guidance of ITA as a whole, because the gaps are real, the calls were made, and of course, some persons submitted manuscripts a little bit cleaner than others. Others we had to send back and get back and go back through and say, and double check and recheck, because again, what is produced here reflects the work, the integrity of the institution. There's also a shift happening. The Mico Publishers has been born. And so it's not only ITA now, but it's also the creation and the legacy of the Mico publishers. What do I hope of you? I hope that the next guest editor is sitting in their space. I'm looking at least 2 persons. One is wearing pink at least. Both of them are wearing pink. 3 of them are wearing pink. You know, they say, when you throw a stone, it's he who shows. You know the way that, yes. But I want you to think of it because it really, and being in the space of editor allowed me to look at things from another perspective. Look at the space that was being proposed to be filled, look at the call, look at how meaning can be made, look at how it can be used, because ladies and gentlemen, teacher educators, soon to be teacher educators, this is not a journal that should miss you. It is not a journal that should miss you. Why? Because in our classes right now, we are going through the same kinds of questions. We are deliberating the same kinds of questions that are argued about, covered in this journal. Finally, what would I like? I would like to see it in our classrooms. I'd like to see it in our classrooms. I'd like to hear about it on reading lists. Why? Because that is how the space of research and the interest in research is also promulgated. So that is what I would like. I would also like to encourage persons who have not yet tried to be editors to take on that challenge, to look at research from another perspective. Because you know you can do it. It's just that you've had so many different ideas and the time just don't work out. Try looking at research from another perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, I now open for questions.
And the first question should be, how can I volunteer to be an editor? I hear some people in pink, and there are different shades of pink in the room, asking that question loudly. You know the address for either, right? Yes.
All right. It is and I'm going to say, does it take time? Yes. Does it take rethinking? Yes. Does it pull you out of your comfort zone? Yes. But is it satisfying to read it as a composite? Absolutely. When you begin to look at how everything started as very separate, I would say, entities almost, and then it comes out almost, well, like a wave, it is absolutely satisfying. All right, thank you.
Okay, so we're winding down now. We want to celebrate those who really helped us to get this journal off the ground. And sometimes when you see that there's a lapse in time with the journals, I think Dr. Dunkley just explained exactly why. We are a nurturing environment, so when we get things that are not quite camera ready, we're going to work with you until it is. We don't want to tell people no, but we don't want to publish things that shouldn't be published, so we're going to work at it. So with your continued support and patience, we can make this into something bigger than what it is right now. So we're going to ask, you know that I've left my notes somewhere. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move to the publications list. which I don't seem to have right in front of me. Here we are. We're going to ask Professor Houghton to give the first set of certificates. So, Prof, we can part the camera. On that side. All right, so we're going to ask our guest editor-in-chief to come forward and receive her certificate. And we really thank Dr. Dunkley. She's risen to the challenge. She's worked on the Marcus Garvey manuscript, and she has volunteered her services. And we look forward to others. For years I used to slave with this thing. Wasn't fun. And we got a nice help with Mrs. Jackson Reynolds. And I must point out the next person to receive her certificate, who is helping to hand out, is Miss Blair. Now, let me tell you a little thing about Miss Blair. You see APA? APA is no joke, you know. And lots of things that we think we know, we are so antiquated with it. If you want an OCD APA-er, that's Miss Blair for you. All right, so we had a bunch of persons who performed the job of reviewers, some of which are external to the Mico, and I don't believe that they're here. I don't see any unfamiliar faces. So I'm going to jump to the Mico people first, all right? So Dr. Albert Benjamin, can you please come? Here we are. All right, and we want to thank, who is in absentia, Miss Rochelle McClymont, could be McClimont, Dr. Theo Clark, Dr. Ricardo Anderson, and Mrs. Beth Morrison. I don't think Mrs. Beth Morrison is here, and the others are external to the Mico, but we celebrate them and we thank them for their services. No. Mm-mm. We did. Yes. We did. One person who did a double job of reviewer, and she was a copy editor. We want to thank our Dr. Beverly Johnson. Here we go. Our copy editors now. And we definitely need the support of copy editors. They are going to catch the full stops and the capital. You know, if you ever say anything that I write, I have a love affair with capitals. So in the middle of a sentence, you'll find a capital because they're beautiful. And they stand out, you know, they're tall. So we really want to thank the copy editors for going through the manuscripts with fine-tooth combs and dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, fixing all of the little tweaks that should be fixed. So Mr. Fabian Miller. Miss Carolyn McDowell and Mrs. Jackson Reynolds will receive on her behalf. Okay. And Dr. Valerie Morgan, who was here, Mrs. Samuels, will you receive on her behalf, please? I'm also extending the call for guest editor to Dr. Morgan. All the pinks and to Dr. Valerie Morgan. But that does not preclude other colors from responding. Okay, so we actually get to the people who made the journal possible. And we want to recognize and thank them for ensuring that the hallmark of excellence is represented here. So, Mr. Leroy Ferron, Mrs. Cordell Francis Ferguson, these are our research trackers. So we're going to thank Prof. and we're going to ask Mrs. Jones to finish the rest of the batch. Okay. Dr. Mundell. Can I tell you, I'm especially proud of Dr. Mundell. Dr. Mundell, can I share why I'm especially proud? If I insist. Dr. Mundell, some of us know, faced some health challenges. And she was determined that no matter what, she's going to get this done. And she did it. So the ministry team of Doctors Clover Hamilton Flowers and Francine Taylor Campbell, they're not here, but surely we celebrate them because this is how we know what the ministry is doing. We also have another external party, Mr. Devon Crossfield, who is not here as well. And then we move on to our own Monique Jackson Reynolds. Next, we have Dr. Yvonne Jones Nelson. And you know, if you notice in the journal, science is representing hard. So you see why it was a run for the money earlier, right? Because the science people turned out, and we're very proud. Dr. Jones Nelson is the coordinator for research for the science department. So she whips them into shape. And we are happy to celebrate Nicolia Nelson. And I think Sebastian Atapuram is not here as well. All right? So, with that, we want to give a round of applause to all of the awardees. The only thing left for us to do at this point in time is to hand our copies to Dr. Benjamin for the office of the Vice President. And I'm sure that as the Vice President, Academic Affairs, he will hear the cry about ensuring that this gets on the reading list. Being a partner, okay. So, before that, I need to ensure that I capture all of the authors from the science department because it was a combined effort for the science paper. And we acknowledged some of them, but we left out Sean Carrington Ainsworth. Is Sean here? Okay. Denise Walker McCarthy. Sophia Haley. And Wayne Thompson. Truly a collaborative effort. All right, so we also want to celebrate Mrs. Shellon Samuels White. If you notice the repeats of people coming up, so you understand how they end up in certain categories. Mrs. Denise Minot. Dr. Denise Minot. My apologies, Dr. Minot. I don't see you often enough, you know. All right, so we are going to, we already handed Dr. Benjamin on behalf of the office?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, so that brings to a close to a wonderful celebration of the collective efforts of the Mico family. With that, we invite you to join us over by the Museum Lecture Theatre for, Museum Seminar Room rather, for light refreshments. And of course, bring your purses because our books are also on sale. And your wallets for those of us who don't carry purses. And our credit cards because we have a card machine. We're gonna do our vote of thanks and then we're complete.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, morning. We still have 3 minutes left. Good morning. So I am Amanda Blair. I am ITO's research assistant. On behalf of ITO, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to everyone who contributed to this year's Research Spotlight success. We express heartfelt appreciation to our Masters of Ceremony, Mrs. Chandra Gray Alvarenga, Deputy Director of ITO, and Mrs. Marcia Jones, the Board of Director, Dr. Albert Benjamin, VP Academics, and Mrs. Verona Dawkins, HR Director, for taking the time to be here and for your continued support of research at the Mico University College. We also extend special thanks to Mrs. Jackson Reynolds for sharing her research with us, and to Dr. Kay Dunkley, our guest editor-in-chief for the journal, for the editorial overview of the journal. We would also like to acknowledge my colleagues at ITA, Professor Clinton Hutton, our director, Dr. Beverly Johnson, Senior Research Fellow, for their continued support and contribution in today's events. I also want to take a moment to highlight our new staff member, Ms. Kamisha King. She led the coordination for today's event, and of course, she did a wonderful job. You enjoyed it, right? So to close, sincere thanks to all the awardees, authors, support staff, and attendees. Your presence and participation made today possible. So thank you once again. I echo what Mrs. Sandra Gray Alvaranga said. We are saving you on lunch with life refreshments, so carry the lunch money to purchase some books at our book sale. And we will convene at 3 p.m. for a luminary session with Professor Hutton. Have a wonderful rest of the day.